So, today we're diving into what is arguably one of the most powerful, most practical chapters in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, I don't want you to think of this as some dusty old text. I want you to picture it as a live coaching session, a conversation that's happening right in the middle of an absolute crisis. And it answers a question we all face. What do you do when you are completely and utterly paralyzed?
So, let's set the scene. You're looking at a quote from our main guy, Arjuna. He's one of the greatest warriors of his time, standing on a battlefield. But instead of being ready for a fight, he's having a complete breakdown. And this isn't just, feeling a little sad. He says his grief is so intense, it's literally drying up his senses. He's not just stuck, he is totally, hopelessly lost.
All right, Section 1, a warrior's breaking point. So what could possibly cause a legendary warrior to just completely fall apart like this? Well, the answer is what makes this conflict so incredibly painful and so relatable.
He looks out across the battlefield, and who does he see on the other side? His teachers, his cousins, his own grandfather. This is the heart of his crisis. His duty as a warrior, his dharma, tells him he has to fight, but his heart, his compassion, is screaming at him to stop. So he's trapped between his duty and his love, and he just shuts down. He literally puts down his weapons, collapses in his chariot, and quits. It's a moment of total paralysis that I think we can all understand on some level.
Okay, Section 2. You are not this body. This is where his friend, Krishna, who also happens to be his charioteer, steps in. But Krishna doesn't give him a pep talk. No, he does something much more radical. He completely reframes the entire problem by challenging the most basic thing Arjuna thinks he knows, who he is.
Krishna introduces this core concept, the Atman, the soul. He basically says, Arjuna, the real you, it's not this body that's freaking out. It's not these emotions that are overwhelming you. The real you is something else, something eternal and indestructible that just lives inside the body. And this isn't just a cool philosophical idea. It is the first crucial step to solving Arjuna's entire crisis.
Krishna draws a really clear line in the sand here. The body, it's temporary. It's born, it gets old, it dies. The soul, the Atman, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It's eternal, it's unborn, it's indestructible. So you see what he's doing? He's telling Arjuna, your grief is pointed at the wrong thing. You're mourning the temporary shell, and you're forgetting all about the permanent reality that's inside.
And he gives this brilliant analogy to make it stick. Think about it. You've already passed through different bodies in this one life, right? You were a baby, then a kid, then a teenager. You don't sit around mourning your 5-year-old body. Well, Krishna says death is the exact same kind of change. The soul is just changing clothes, so to speak. The person inside those clothes stays the same.
Section 3, the call to rightful duty. Okay, so the soul is eternal. Great. What does that have to do with Arjuna's problem right now? Well, this is where Krishna connects that huge cosmic truth right back down to Arjuna's specific job on that battlefield, his dharma. See, a warrior's duty back then wasn't just, go fight people. It was a sacred responsibility. It meant you had to fight for what was right, to protect citizens, to maintain law and order, even if that meant using violence, and to lead based on principles. By laying this out, Krishna is changing the narrative. This isn't a petty family fight. It's a necessary action to restore order. And right here, Krishna makes the stakes crystal clear. He tells Arjuna, if you walk away from this, you're not choosing peace. You're actually choosing to abandon your duty. And that's not a neutral choice. By neglecting his entire purpose, he'd be inviting sin and losing every bit of honor he has. So the real choice isn't between fighting and not fighting. It's between fulfilling his duty and failing completely. All right, Section 4, action without attachment. So Arjuna has to fight, but how? How can he possibly do that without being crushed by grief or getting obsessed with winning? This brings us to the absolute philosophical peak of this chapter, the secret of right action, which is called karma yoga.
This might be the single most famous verse in the entire Gita. It's a totally revolutionary idea about how to live and work in the world. But what does it actually mean? You have a right to your work, but not to the results? How does that work?
Krishna basically breaks it down into 3 rules. First, do your duty and give it your all. But second, And this is the real mind bender. You have to let go of the results. You can't think you're the one causing success or failure. And third, don't get attached to the idea of not doing your duty either. That's just another trap. It's a path of being totally engaged, but with a completely different mindset.
This is the art of it. It's about finding freedom from that mental torture of, what if I fail? Or what do I get if I win? By putting all your focus on just doing the work itself as best you can, you free yourself from that emotional roller coaster of chasing outcomes.
So for our final section, number 5, the truly wise person. What does someone who actually lives this way look like? Krishna ends by painting a picture of this ideal person, someone who has achieved a truly steady mind.
Arjuna, being very practical, asks, okay, but what are the signs? How does a person like this talk? How do they sit? How do they walk around in the world? He's basically asking, how would I recognize this wisdom if I saw it?
Krishna describes someone who is just unshakable. They're not attached to outcomes, so life's ups and downs don't throw them off balance. When something good happens, they don't get overly excited. When something bad happens, they don't fall apart. They're just steady because their foundation is solid. They're firmly rooted in knowing their true, eternal self.
I absolutely love this image. It's the perfect metaphor. Imagine a candle flame in a place with no wind. It doesn't flicker. It's just calm, centered, and perfectly still. That's the state of mind Krishna's talking about. That's the inner peace he's offering to Arjuna, and, by extension, he's offering it to all of us.
When you think about it, this ancient advice is the perfect antidote to so much of our modern anxiety. So the question to leave you with is this: how would your life change, your work, your goals, your relationships, if you could really truly just focus on the action itself and let go of the outcome?